Every revolution begins with a promise. Not a battle, not a weapon, a promise. But what happens when the promise of liberty starts by dividing the world into oppressors and oppressed? And what happens when the revolution finally defeats its enemy? Can it avoid becoming the very thing it was created to destroy? George Orwell explores these questions in Animal Farm, and he begins not with a battle, but with an idea. In Manor Farm, the animals have gathered to hear Old Major, an elderly boar who knows that he is close to death. Before he dies, Old Major has one final thing to give them, not something material, but a speech. And like many political revolutions, that speech begins by identifying an enemy. Man is the only real enemy we have. Notice how absolute this statement is. Not some villain, not some specific groups, simply man, that is, humanity. The world is divided into two opposing categories, humans and animals, oppressors and oppressed. This division is the foundation of everything that follows. Because before a revolution can change society, it must first change the way people understand society. Old Major tells the animals that their suffering is not natural. Hunger, exhaustion, and overwork are not simply facts of life. They have a cause. And that cause is human exploitation. The argument is remarkably simple. The cows produce milk. The hens lay eggs. Yet everything they produce is taken by the creature that produces nothing. As Old Mayer puts it, man is the only creature that consumes without producing. The logic is almost mathematical. Animals produce, humans consume. Therefore, remove humans, and justice will naturally follow. This is the power of political discourse. It takes a complicated world and reduces it to a clear division. One group gives, another group takes. One group suffers, another group benefits. And once the problem has been reduced to a single enemy, the solution can appear equally simple. Remove the enemy, and the injustice disappears. But before the animals can build their new society, Old Major gives the animals one final warning. Winning power is not enough. The real danger comes afterwards. And remember also that in fighting against man, we must not come to resemble him. This may be the most important sentence in the entire opening chapter, because Orwell has now introduced the central question of the novel. A revolution can defeat its enemy, but can it avoid becoming its enemy? At this point, the warning seems almost unnecessary. After all, how could animals possibly become like humans? The answer will unfold over the rest of the novel. Before the meeting ends, Old Major gives the animals one final gift, a vision, a song. Beasts of England imagines a future without whips, chains, and hunger. For the first time, the animals are invited to imagine freedom before they experience it. And that imagination becomes revolutionary, because political revolutions do not begin only when people take power. They begin when people start imagining a different world. The rebellion has not yet begun. No human has been overthrown. No law has been changed. And yet the farm has already begun to transform. Why? Because the animals now see their lives differently. They no longer see hunger and exhaustion as unavoidable facts of existence. They see them as the result of a system. They no longer see themselves simply as servants. They begin to imagine themselves as a people. And this is where Orwell's revolution truly begins, not with violence, with language. But an idea is never entirely controlled by the person who creates it. Old Major will not live to see the revolution he inspires. His ideas will survive him. Other animals will inherit them. They will interpret them. They will simplify them. And eventually, they will use them to justify a revolution. Because ideas have a strange quality. They often become most powerful after the people who created them are gone. Soon, a single act of neglect will ignite everything Old Major has set in motion.